Does God exist? So, as you all know, before we start or I start speaking about this particular topic, I want to hear from you people. What do you think? Does God really exist? If yes, what is God according to you? Just one or two sentences, one or two words, whatever you feel. What is God? Because we have so many gods in our Hindu culture, Hindu tradition. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of gods. We say 33 crore Devi Devtas are there. What are these Devi Devtas? And we talk about Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, and so many gods. Ganesha, Krishna, Rama. They're all gods for us, and we have been worshipping them from thousands of years. What is God? Does God really exist? There are people who believe in God, and there are people in the world who do not believe in God. So let me get your expressions about God first, and then I'll start speaking about the topic. So Sudha is saying creator of the universe. Yes. So creator of the universe is God. Wonderful. Yes, he exists within us. Jyoti is saying that he exists within us. Yes, God, he exists within us. Wonderful. Any other inputs? Can I get some more inputs? What do you think? Does God really exist? If yes, what is God according to you? Is it what we have been, believing from so many thousands of years? We have been worshipping idols, Shiva Linga, then so many things we have. So, what is God according to you? What do you think? What is God? Some more inputs if I can get from you people, then I can proceed. All right. So Karan is saying that when miracles happen, we feel some higher energy beyond exist. Wonderful. When miracle happens, we feel some higher energy beyond exists. Something exists beyond us, which is creating the miracles. Right? Wonderful. God must exist because if you get down to basics, science cannot explain. He may be in any form like energy, etc. Wonderful, Leelaji. Yes, perfect. Yes. So I've got few inputs from you people. Creator of universe is God. You say he exists within us. You say that when miracle happens. Now again, miracle, Do you really think there is something in the universe which you can call as miracle? And I have been always saying one thing, that either everything is miracle in this world. Everything. What I am talking is miracle. What you're listening is miracle. Whatever is happening around you is miracle. Or nothing is miracle in this universe. Even if you are flying in the sky, just without any support, without anything, if you can fly in the sky, if you can walk on the water, these are not in our day-to-day life, experiences. But even these are not miracles. If you really understand what are the miracles, how this universe works, if you really can understand, nothing is miracles. But yes, in our life, in our day-to-day life, in our limited belief system, when we think that there is something in our life which is miracle for us, we believe that there is something beyond our capability, and that is God. That can be God, or that is God we call. Yes. God must exist. Leelaji is saying that God must exist because if you get down to basics, science cannot explain. Wonderful. Yes, science cannot explain about anything about God, but it doesn't talk about God. It talks about something which is equal to God. He may be in any form like energy, etc. Yes, energy, about energy, this is what the science talks about. We'll talk about this. God is higher energy unseen by human eyes. Yes, God is higher energy unseen by human eyes. I would add, Sri Jayanti, one word here, human body eyes. Okay, God is higher energy unseen by human body eye. With the body's eye, whatever God has given in this body, or whatever we have got. Again, when I say God has given, the topic will be totally changed, because God has given, that means God exists. Wonderful. But I cannot give the clear statement for this. We'll go in detail, in depth of this particular topic today. Does God really exist? If God exists, what is God actually is? And why we have created so many gods in Hindu, not only in Hinduism, but in all the cultures of the world. There are so many gods, if you take Christianity, they call Jesus as God, or God's son and God and all those things. Muhammad was God, or he was God's messenger and all those things. So why we have created all these gods, or have we created it, or it is just got created by something? So we'll just dig in deep into this. Okay. God is higher energy unseen by human body. Good evening, Ushaji. While every breathing, we will experience the presence of Almighty God. God is omnipotent. Yes, Doreswamiji. God is omnipotent, omnipresent and omniscient. That is what we have been saying and believing. Yes. So we'll talk about this also. Bhuneshwari Radhakrishnan is saying that God is the supreme consciousness and each one of us are a spark of that consciousness. Wonderful, Bhuneshwari ji. So Bhuneshwari is saying that God is a super consciousness, and each one of us are a spark of that consciousness. That means, that's what we have been always talking in our Upanishads. They have been talking Yatha Brahmande Tatha Pindande, or we are part of that light. Purnamidam Purnamadam Purnam Purnamudachyate. That is what Upanishad says. So God is a super consciousness and we are part of the God. Prabhakarji, namaste. Good evening. Wonderful. So I'll start with a small story. In Tantra, all the Tantra are dialogue between Shiva and Parvati. And Shiva and Parvati is husband and wife, as we all know. And once Parvati asks Shiva, does God exist? Parvati, listen carefully. Parvati asks Shiva, does God exist? And Shiva says, what are you talking about? I am God. And Parvati says, how can you be God? You're my husband, you're my lover, you're my better half, whatever. But how can you be God? And moreover, you keep on meditating all the time. If you're a God, why do you meditate? And upon whom do you meditate actually? ನೀನೇ ದೇವರ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ, ನೀವೇ ದೇವರ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ಯಾವುದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮೆಡಿಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ? ಯಾರ ಮೇಲೆ ಧ್ಯಾನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ? If you are a God, why do you meditate? This is what, we have been depicting Shiva as a meditator. Right? Shiva or Yogeshwara, we call him Yogeshwara. Yogeshwara is the one who is always in a kind of yoga or in a meditative posture. So about whom do you meditate? How can you say you're a God? And Shiva try to convince her, but he cannot convince Parvati. And Shiva fails. And this is what happens with every husband, We can convince the whole world. We cannot convince our better half. We cannot convince our wife. And nowadays, vice versa, I can say. Because if I say only you cannot, convince your wife, you'll say you're a, gender discriminator. So I'm not discriminating anything. Okay. You cannot convince your better half. In other words, you cannot convince your lover, the one whom you love the most. You can convince the whole world, but you cannot convince your lover. So Shiva has given me this duty today to find out something about this. Does God really exist? Let us start talking about this. When you open your eyes, you see the creation outside. Such a beautiful creation, You have plants and trees, flowers and birds, beautiful butterflies, peaks and valleys. So many big, huge forest. Huge ocean. If you see from this side, you cannot see anything that side. Only you can see is ocean and ocean and ocean, water and water and water and only water. And so many peaks, downs, ups, mountains, and so many things on this planet Earth. So many people, different kinds of people, different language speaking people, different languages we have, so many creation around us. Then when you go further, you see the whole Earth. And when you see the whole Earth, you see other planets like the moon, the sun, the other Earth, and complete solar system. Then we see the galaxies. Then we see multiple galaxies, and that's what the science is also, telling nowadays. It is not universe, it is a multiverse. There are multiple galaxies and multiple universes in this whole Brahmanda. And that is what our scriptures also talk about. Koti Brahmandas. Koti Brahmandas, Asankhya Koti Brahmandas, in fact, actually. There are crores and crores and crores of universe are there. When creation is there, someone or something has to be there who has created all these things. Without a creator, creation cannot happen. That is for sure. To create anything, if you have to build a building, you have to have a manpower. You have to have people who are working on the building. You have to have an engineer. You have to have an architect, and so many people. So to write a book, you have to have somebody who is writing the book. To grow grains in the field, you have to have somebody who is growing it. We call them farmers. So whatever is there in this universe, whatever man has created, we can say that there is some creator, and we can see, we can, follow him, we can, understand him, we can talk to him or her, whoever it is. If somebody has written a beautiful book, you know that there is somebody who has written it, and we can meet the writer, we can see the writer. If somebody has, built a huge building, maybe Taj Mahal or something like that, we talk about Shahjahan and all the engineers who might have worked on that. They have created such a beautiful monument. But when you see the whole huge ocean, we do not know who has created this ocean. When we see the huge mountains like the Everest, we do not know who has created this beautiful mountain. We call it Everest, Kailasha. And then we see the moon and sun and so many things. And we do not know, we do not have any clue about the one who has created all these things. And when we do not have any clue, what generally our human mind does is, it starts imagining things. Are you with me so far? When we do not have any clue about anything, we start imagining. And this is what we have been doing all the time in all our day-to-day life also. If somebody goes in front of you, he looks at you, he or she, that person, he or she doesn't talk to you or doesn't even say hi, hello to you. He just goes, and we start thinking now. We start imagining about that person. Why did that person ignore me? Though he looked at me, why didn't he talk to me? Why didn't he, wished me, hi, hello, namaskara, something? So many things. Doesn't he like me, or doesn't he love me, or doesn't he, anymore wants friendship with me, and so many things we create. Human mind is very highly imaginative. Highly imaginative. Right? So we start creating human. In the Bible, Jesus says that God has created human in his own image. The Sanatana Dharma says is the other way around. The Sanatana Dharma says that we have created God and God has not created us. We create the God. If you see, just for example, Shiva, the moment we say Shiva, we get an image of a human body first, with some special characters, like we do not have, we put necklace, gold necklace, he puts necklace as snake. He has a moon on his head, Ganga is on his head, in his hair, and he plays with the ashes of the corpse and all those things, Damru and all those. So with special characters. But the imagination, see the imagination of a human mind. How a human mind can create something when you do not have any clue about something. And of course, you may be getting many questions in your mind right now. Let me finish and then I'll answer all your questions also. Why I'm saying this is as an imagination and all those things. We'll talk about this. And then if you have any questions, I'll answer. I'm there to answer all your questions. And to my best capacity, I'll try to, whatever I have understood about God, I'm going to talk that, as you all know. It is not that I know everything about God or I know God. It is just that what I have understood in my own experience, I'm going to talk about that. So, the human mind, when it doesn't know something, it starts imagining few things. Now, why do we imagine all these things? It's a psychology, we'll talk about that also. So, God, to understand the God, to understand the creator of the creation, the whole creation, we need to look at the nature. You know, the beauty to understand anything is you just have to give undivided attention to something about which you want to know. If you really want to know something, it is only and only your focus, your concentration, which can teach you, which can give you all kinds of knowledge about anything it may be. Swami Vivekananda says that the difference between an ordinary man and a super achiever lies in the difference of the quality of their attention or their concentration. The quality of concentration, if you have highest amount of concentration, you'll be able to understand everything. Say for example, if you're watching some TV channel and if you do not understand some language, if you put that language, you'll start getting irritated. What we generally do, oh, I don't understand this, we just change the channel. This time, when you watch any channel of any regional language which you do not understand, just focus on that. Focus what the characters are trying to speak about. Even if you do not understand the language a bit or even a single word also, I'm sure you'll start understanding what they are talking all about. Concentration is such a wonderful, power. It's a greatest power. If you start concentrating on anything, you'll start getting what is there in that. So we, need to understand the nature, how the nature is working. If you have a seed in your hand, you put that seed in the soil, you put water and manure and all those things. After a few days, you see that a beautiful plant is emerging out. And that plant becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And one fine day, it becomes a huge tree. So many flowers, so many leaves, so many fruits on that. And those fruits again gives you this fruit, you eat the fruit and again get those seeds, again put those seeds in the soil and goes on. So seed becomes plant, flower, fruit and again seed. And again plant, flower, plant, tree and seed. So this cycle is going on and on and on and on. Right? Even the human body, the human existence and the human progeny and the human race, what is going on. From your parents, from your ancestors, your ancestors came, your forefathers came, your grandfather came, your father came, you came, your children's, their children's, their children's, their children's, and the chain goes on and on and on and on. Can there be somewhere, can there be some beginning of this? Can there be some end of this? And whatever has a beginning and whatever has an end is not permanent. And that is what, Adi Shankara calls it Maya. Jagat mithya brahma satya jive brahmeva naparaha. Jagat mithya brahma satya jive brahmeva naparaha. The whole world what we see is mithya, Adi Shankara is saying. And Brahma Satya, he says, Brahma means the God. He says God is reality. Everything else is unreal. Now, this is a contradictory, statement. We cannot see God. We cannot experience God. But Adi Shankara is saying that God is reality. We can experience everything other than God. Your body, your mind, your creation, whatever you have created, everything you can experience. And Adi Shankara is saying that this is mithya, this is Maya. Wow. Doesn't it, gives you a wow feeling that whatever you see, a master is saying that it is Maya, it is not reality. And the one which you are not able to experience, the great man is saying that it is reality. Isn't it? Looks funny sometimes if you look at it from our, standpoint. It looks funny, but that is what the reality is. Then what is God? The definition of God, when we talk to theologists, theologists, or those who believe in God, by the way, as I told you, there are people who say, I believe in God, and there are people who say, I do not believe in God. And these both statements, fundamentally, they are both one and the same. They are just the two sides of the same coin. Even if you believe in God, or if you say you do not believe in God, both are one and the same. How? Yes, they are the two sides of the same coin. When do you say you believe in God or you believe in something, it just means that there is something about which you do not know, but you believe that there is something. As somebody spoke about the miracles. When miracle happens, you do not know how did this happen, and you start believing that there is some power which is beyond my capability that is creating all these things. You believe, you do not know, but some miracle has happened in your life, and because that miracle has happened in your life, you start believing that there is some power beyond this, but you do not know about that power. Because you do not know, we use this word called belief. If you know about something, say for example, something is, you can call this is wire, some wire. I don't say that this is wire. I believe that this is wire. I can clearly say that this is wire. I don't say this, I believe that this is wire. Because the moment you know about something, you do not say I believe. You know about me as Vimal Jain. If you look at me, you'll say, yes, this is Vimal Jain. You'll not say that I believe that this is Vimal Jain, because you know about me now. When you know about me, you say that I am Vimal Jain. But there are people who have not seen me, who have not attended my any discourse or any classes. They have just heard somewhere. They might have seen some photo of mine somewhere. And if they just see my, cutout or somewhere, in some paper or somewhere, what they'll see, oh, I think this is Vimal Jain. They are in doubt now. And when they are in doubt, if somebody is very clear, I believe, they can say, I believe this is Vimal Jain. Still they do not know. Because they do not know, they say they believe. Same thing with not believing also. Not to believe something also, there has to be something. I do not believe in God means it is just that there is something, but I do not believe in it. Because if nothing is there, you cannot say I do not believe in something. Right? So, to not to believe in something also is like there is something, I do not believe in it. Believing something is there is something, I do not know about it, but I believe in that. So, both are the same, fundamentally same statements, two sides of the same coin. Because we are still believing, we do not know about that. Okay? So, I was talking about this whole universe, this creation. Adi Shankara is saying that Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. Everything what you experience right now, experiencing is Mithya, is not real. Whatever you are not experiencing, he is calling it as real. Then what is actually reality? Let us take two classical examples from Vedanta philosophy. Vedanta philosophy gives two beautiful examples for to explain who is creator actually. Let us take the first example as gold ornaments. You women wear ornaments, so many ornaments you wear. You wear bangles, you wear necklace, you wear ring. Let us see, one is a ring, other is a bangle, the third is a necklace. Ring, bangle, necklace made out of gold. Right? Now when you look at the ring, you can clearly say that this is ring made out of gold. When you look at the bangle, you can clearly say that this is bangle made out of gold. When you see necklace, you can call it as a necklace made out of gold. These three different forms, a ring, bangle and necklace, made out of gold. Right? Now, when you melt all these three things, what do you get? The only one thing we get is gold. When all these three things are melted together, the only thing we get is gold. Where has the ring gone? Where has the necklace gone or the bangle gone? Everything has become one and the same. The Adi Shankara is saying that gold is reality. Bangle is not reality. Ring is not reality. Necklace is not reality. They are temporary. Now, let us understand it from a different point. Bangle is made out of gold. When you see a bangle, you can clearly say that this is bangle. Now, if I ask you to one more question, this bangle is made up of what? You'll say this bangle is made up of gold. Right? Now, if I tell you to separate gold from bangle, can you just separate gold from bangle? Bangle is made up of gold. But when it is a bangle, we call it bangle. But can you separate gold from bangle? Is gold separate from bangle? We'll say no. It is made up of gold. It is through and in and out, everything is gold. When you look deeply into it, you'll say the whole thing is not a bangle but only a gold. Bangle is just the same gold has taken a form of bangle. Now when you melt that gold, that bangle, and the same gold can be converted as necklace. And once it is converted as necklace, now you'll call it as necklace and not bangle. Bangle is gone. Bangle was unreal. Gold was reality in that. The same gold, you converted that into necklace, and the same bangle, which was a bangle earlier, has become necklace now. But gold is still there. Gold is always unchanging. You can again melt this necklace and make rings. Gold is still there, but necklace is not there. You get the ring now. So Gold cannot be separated from these ornaments. These ornaments are just temporary. The same gold is taking the different forms. And Vedanta says that the gold is the reality. The bangle, the ring, the necklace are unreal. They are temporary reality. Tatkalika Satya, Sarvakalika Satya. Tatkalik Satya, when you see a ring, it is a ring, of course, but the reality of this ring is not ring, but gold. The reality of bangle is not bangle, but gold. Gold is permanent, gold is always there. The same kind of example, one more example, the Vedanta gives is clay and pot. Out of clay, you can make many different kinds of pot, small pot, big pot, round pots, square pots, so many things you can create out of clay. But when the clay becomes pot, it is a pot. But you cannot separate the clay from the pot. Once the pot is broken and melted, it again becomes the clay. The same pot, the same clay, you can create some big pot again, or some square pot, or some round pot, or some a different designed pot. Pot is not reality. Pot is temporary. Pot is tatkalika. Clay is reality in that. This is what Vedanta talks about. Now let us take this creation, this whole creation. As gold cannot be separated from ring, as gold cannot be separated from bangle, as gold cannot be separated from necklace, so is the creator cannot be separated from the creation. Creator is within the creation. It is the creator himself taking different forms. It is the creator himself taking the different forms. It may be Vimal Jain today, right? And so many names I can read here. It may be Rajiv, it may be Leela, Doreswamy, Sudha, Sri Jayanti, Jayanti, Mahi, Jyoti, Kushi, Vaishnavi, Usha, Aditi, Karan, right? Padmaja, Prabhakarji, Gomati, and so many names. So many different names, so many different bodies, so many different colors. There are people fair in color, there are people who have dark complexion and all those things. But the reality, I have this body, I have the mind, my body and my mind are connected with each other, but the energy which is working through this body and mind is all one and the same. And that is what the definition of energy and definition of God resembles with one another. When you ask any religious believer or any theologist, they'll define God as God is. God is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. God cannot be created nor destroyed. God is not created by anybody. God cannot be destroyed. Adi, Ananta, right? Anadi, Ananta, I mean, there is no Adi, there is no Anta. There is no beginning, there is no end point. Anadi, Ananta, which is present everywhere, all the time, and which can change its form and goes. This is what the definition of God is. Now, when we talk scientifically or to the scientist, they define energy as energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can change its form and goes. It is omnipresent, omnipotent. It is present everywhere all the time. This is what quantum physics says. And this is what, if you have heard about the E equals mc square, which we have all heard, I think, in school only. E equals mc square. E, energy is equal to the mass or the matter. Energy can be converted in matter, matter can be converted in energy. This is what the quantum science says, the theory of relativity. So energy, the definition of energy, what the scientists give, The theologists, the religious believers, the same definition give to that Almighty, that God, what we call God, both are one and the same. Then can we see, somebody said actually, that is a energy. We call it energy scientifically. Energy is that God which changes its form. Energy can be changed into matter, any kind of matter. And that is what I have been, talking in my alchemy classes also. The alchemy, I call myself as alchemist and I teach alchemy. Most of you know, most of you have learned alchemy from me. Alchemy is nothing but the science of alchemy in the olden days, in the medieval era when it was used, actually it is used to transmute any base metal into gold. Any metal can be converted into gold. Wow, such a wonderful science, right? Then what is the difference? How can you convert? And this seems miracle, but this is not miracle at all. This is not miracle at all. That's the science. If you know this science, it is not miracle. If you do not know the science, it will be a miracle for you. What is the difference between this, any other metal and gold? Or what is the difference between anything, like something is plastic, something is paper, something is iron, something is something else, something is men, human body, trees, plants, oceans, water and all those things. What is the difference? Everything is one energy taking different forms. This is what all our scriptures are saying. And this is what the today's new science, the physics, the quantum physics is saying. Everything is energy. It is just taking different forms. Water is also energy. Stone is also energy. Air is also energy. So is human body. You have books, computer and all those things, mobile, whatever you're having in hand. These are all energy and nothing else. The science is saying that energy is reality. Everything else is unreal. Unreal means Maya. It is a temporary reality. So, are you getting what is God now? A little clue of God. God is a creator who has created all these things, and that creator is within the creation itself. Creation, whenever you see everything, wherever you see, it is all nothing but God. It is all nothing but God. Ekam eva advityam. Chandogya Upanishad says, Ekam eva advityam is only one and one, nothing called two. Everything is one, same. That's what the science is also saying. So God is that creator who is present in the creation itself. And that is what we have been talking, that कण कण में संकर होता है, कण कण में संकर है, right? In each and every atom there is a God, or now we can call it as energy. That is what Adi Shankara says, Aham Brahmasmi. I am that Brahma. I am the God. And that is what Shiva said to his wife, Parvati. What are you talking about? I am the Shiva. I am the God. Parvati could not get convinced. Right? Parvati here is the human mind, the small mind. Shiva here is that ultimate reality, that energy, which is talking within you, from you. If you just focus on your own life. Just 1 week back, I trimmed my nails. They again grew. Oh my God, what is this? Can I stop these nails to grow? You cannot stop. They'll keep growing. You have to trim every week, 10 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, whenever. You go to salon, get your hair cut. After 15 days, 20 days, again you see, oh, it's irritating. Again go and get it done. They're continuously growing. And for those who are, completely baldy, sorry, I'm just kidding. They want to grow the hair, but they cannot grow. Why do not you have that power within you? Why cannot you stop? If you are a God, I'm going in deep, in even more deep in that. Why? If Aham Brahmasmi, if this is reality, if I am a God, if I am the creator, why can't I create small things in my life? Those who do not have hairs on their head, they want hairs to grow. They cannot grow their head. If I want to stop the nails not to grow, I'm not able to stop this. Why? If I am God, this is the next question. If I say I am, Adishankar ಅವರು ತುಂಬಾ ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರಪ್ಪ, ಅಹಂ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾಸ್ಮಿ, ನೀನೇ ಪರ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಅಂತ, ಯು ಆರ್ ದ ಗಾಡ್ ಅಂತ. ಬಟ್ ಹೌ ಆಮ್ ಐ ಗಾಡ್ ಇಫ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈ ಲೈಫ್? The answer is very simple. Answer is very simple. Answer is just that you do not know that you are a God. You do not know that you are a creator. And that is what scriptures call it avidya. Ignorance. When you are ignorant about something, you cannot get it. And because we are ignorant that we are the creator, we started creating gods in our own image. Because we could not believe in our abilities, because we could not take the troubles of life easily on our head, we created something, some person who is bigger than you and me and all of us. Fear of the human mind has created the Saguna Brahman, the seen reality, the seen God. We call them Shiva, we call them so many names, whatever. Why do we create? Why do we create? First is ignorance. We do not have the right knowledge of our abilities. And second is we always in a constant fear. And when we are in a constant fear, we need somebody who can, on whom we can rally on, or on whom we can believe, or on whom we can just, as you come home and remove your clothes and hang it on a khutti pe tang dete hain kapde. You put the clothes on the hanger. Same way, you want to put your troubles on somebody's head or shoulder or hanger, and we create that hanger as God. How can you say that? Hold on, I'll explain that. How can I say that? When we were all children, we were continuously playing. As I see now my younger child especially, he's just 10 years now. 10 years is also too big now. 10 years children can also take the tensions and all those things. But small children who are 4, 5, 6, 7 years, even 10 years also, they don't have any worries. They're not worried about anything. Just imagine you're a father, you're a mother, and you have small kids who are within 10 to 12 years of age. They do not know anything about the hell of life you are going through. You may have financial problems. You might have lost the job. You might be going through some court cases, some divorce and all those hell of things. If you have a small child, it is not worried at all. It keeps playing, enjoying everything. Why? Because child does not know, or it is not experience any troubles of the human life. It is just, that you have a financial problem, that you have health issues, that you have lost your job or so many things. But child doesn't know anything. But child is completely secured, safe, because you are giving everything to the child. Child feels completely secured, completely safe when that child is with parents. right? When we were also with our parents, we felt very secure, very calm, having no worries at all, playing all the time, enjoying the life. Most of the time I'm talking about, not in all the cases, but most of the time. And as we grow up, as we start losing the hold from the parents, as we start losing our parents and get the responsibilities on our head, now we start feeling insecurity. There is nobody to take care of us. There is nobody who can, on whom I can believe, or I can rely on, or I can, just have a support. Somebody can, somebody is there to save me. When you do not have that, the human mind, psychologically, it wants some support. And for that support, from thousands of years, human mind created gods. This is what the Sanatana Dharma says. We created God. In all our temples, when you put an idol, once you install an idol, it doesn't, it is not ready to be worshipped. After installing the idol, you do the prana pratishtha. Have you all heard about this word, prana pratishtha? We do the prana pratishtha to the idol, to the god. Don't you get this question? How can I, if I am not a god, how can I give prana to that idol what I am keeping on the in the temple or in our altar? We give prana to the god. We create the idol and we give prana to the god, and then we start worshipping the god. Don't you think we have created God? Outside God, I mean to say. God is within us only. God is that creator who is not separate from the creation. Creation and creator are one and the same. But as we need support, psychological support, mental support, and other kinds of support, security, and need of overcoming the fears and all those things, we created idols, we created gods, we created so many things, and we started worship. Is there wrong? Nothing wrong in that. Nothing wrong in that. That is what the concept is given in our scriptures also. Saguna Brahman, Nirguna Brahman. You start from the Saguna Brahma and reach to the Nirguna Brahma. Saguna means the one who has guna, akara, and all those things. Nirguna means the one who has no guna at all. Guna tita we call it. Guna means these three gunas. Again, I am not going to go in detail of that gunas. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So three guna. We are all made up of three gunas. And the one who is guna tita, who is beyond these gunas, is Nirguna. We created Saguna Brahman or Saguna God, the God which we worship, idol. But the journey does not stop there. Journey has to be from Saguna to Nirguna. Once you realize your own reality, once you realize that you're that Parabrahman, you're that Brahman, you're that Guru, once Parvati realizes that Shiva is not separate from Parvati, Shiva and Parvati are one and the same, and that is what the concept you have, Ardhanarishwara. That is a concept, that is a symbolical representation of the same human existence, or the whole existence, in fact, not only the human existence, but the whole existence. We created God, Saguna God. There is nothing wrong in worshipping that God. Because I'll give you an example why it is not wrong to worship the idols and going beyond that. The journey is going beyond that. Journey is from Saguna, we have to reach to the Nirguna. When we start learning alphabets, A, B, C, D, when first you write A, it is so difficult to learn A. Teacher teaches you Teacher tells you to write that hundreds of times, A. Then with that, she adds A for apple, A for aeroplane, B for ball, C for cat, and all those things. When you're a child, when you're in LKG, UKG, it is required that you learn like A for apple, B for ball, C for cat. Now, say for example, if you have come to the 5th or 6th standard or higher classes, still when you're reading any one letter, if you read like A for apple, say for example God, oh God, God, the moment you read God, you don't read God, you read G for gorilla, O for orange, D for dog, and God, go for gorilla, O for orange, D for dog, so God. So many things do you require now? We don't need. But when you are in LKG, UKG, you need to study like that, because it is easier for you to read it, to understand it, to grasp it, and to understand and go beyond that. Like the child, for the child, it is very important to write A again and again, and practice it. It is very important for the child to learn A as apple, B as ball, C as cat, and all those things. It is very important for us, or those who are ignorant, on whom the veil of Maya is still there. It is important that we worship idols, we believe in idols, and once you start understanding something about your reality, you start knowing that Brahman within you. And that is what the concept is also. When you go to the temple, the moment you go to the temple, you see the idol, and what the first thing we do, hands in Namaskar Mudra, bow down and close your eyes. You've gone to get the darshana of the God. The moment you go in front of God, you close your eyes. Why do we close our eyes? And this is what happens when you're in love also. Love making, again, it's a big topic. We'll take some other time. When you make love, when you're in that ecstasy, you close your eyes. Oh my God. You're experiencing the wonderful, the beauty of this nature, and you close your eyes. When you see the God, for which you travel hundreds and thousands of kilometers. We go to Tirupati, from Bengaluru to Tirupati, it's 300, 400 kilometers. You go there, you take the darshana, and the moment you take the darshana, you close your eyes. Why do we close the eyes? It is just that it symbolizes God is not outside, my dear. First you see the God outside, and then realize that God within you. And to realize that God within you, you need to close the physical eyes. And that is what Sri Jayanti was saying about, I think. The one which you cannot see with your eyes. And I said which you cannot see with your physical eyes, body's eyes. You can see the God. Seeing is what? Seeing is experiencing the God. You can experience that God within you when you close these physical eyes. And that is what we do in the temples. That is what we do when you indulge in sexual act, love making. You close your eyes. When you get the experience, the peak experience, generally we close eyes, unknowingly. It is not unknowingly, it is just that we know, but we do not know that we know. And because we do not know that we know, we do not know why do we do that. Very confusing? Don't get confused. Okay. So, the reality is, we have created the Saguna Brahman. The Brahmana, the God, the creator is within the creation. It is present in each and every cell of your body also. It is present in each and every atom of the whole universe. The science calls it energy, we call it God. It is present in everything. And because it is present in everything, if you know, in some villages actually, they just keep any stone You might have seen any stone they can take, just clean it, wash it, keep it, and they put kumkuma on that and they start worshipping. This concept we have only in Hinduism. Why? Only because we believe that God is everywhere, God is in everything, and because we believe that God is in everything, in fact, we knew, our ancestors knew that God is in everything. They gave the concept. We started believing it because we do not know it. We started believing, but still we follow. We take any stone, wash it, clean it, and put kunkuma on that, arshana on them, turmeric on that, and start worshipping that. That simple stone becomes God for you. Even today, in all the many villages, in fact, we just any stone we can put and start worshipping. It is just that God is present in everything. God is present in everything. Then why so many gods? This is the last question I am taking, and then I'll take your question, Simon. This is the last part I am talking. This is again wonderful and a very big topic to deal with. And lifetime we can talk about this topic also. We will not get to any conclusion, but it is just that we start, cleansing our inner consciousness by knowing these things. So why so many gods we have created? We could have created only one God, alva? Right? It is because the human mind is very cunning. It wants variety, Nam variety bekuri. If you always eat chapati, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 1 week, after 1 week, you'll see chapati means, If you always eat only anna sambaru, rice and dal, every day, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 1 week, 10 days, after that, bari anna sambar. We want variety. When you get variety, you are satisfied. So, because the human mind wants the variety, we create all variety of gods. We create all variety of gods. First reason for that. Second is, the God is same, the energy is same, but we use that same energy for different purposes. Say for example, electricity. We use electricity in the bulb to get the light. We use electricity in the laptop to get the laptop work. We use electricity in different, if you use it in AC, it will give you cooling effect. If you use it in heater, it will give you heat. Same electricity. In the same way, God also has different purposes. That energy what we are using, if you are using that energy for the love, you create God for love. If you want that energy, like Triguna energy, let's talk about the three energies only: Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma. Creation, sustenance, and Laya, that is the destruction. So we created Brahma. Brahma created everything for creation. The energy which is used is Brahma. For sustenance of the creation, the energy which is used, we call it Vishnu, and it has to get destructed also. Like the seed goes in the soil, it has to get disintegrated. It has to break out, and when it breaks, gets one with the soil, the plant comes out. For that, Shiva is required, and that was that energy, the destructive energy, or that, the breaking energy, we call it Shiva. Like all other, maybe Ganesha, maybe other, whatever we have, these are all different forms of the same energy. So one is, we like variety, we created different gods. The other is the different purpose of the energy we created in a different forms. And this is how we created. So does God exist? Yes, it does exist. But, B-U-T, but, it does not exist as we see or we believe God is as. The God, the creator exists within each one of us. And this is what Adi Shankara says, Aham Brahmasmi. I am that Brahman. Tattvamasi. Prajnanama Brahma. These four Mahavakyas in the Vedas we get. So, does God exist? If yes, what is God? The question remains the same for all of you. Now I can take your questions. I did not have the PPT today because I was a little busy from the last 2-3 days, and I could not prepare the PPT. So I just started talking, and it went well. Great. I did not need PPT actually. Great, guys. So thank you so much. I think it's 8 now. If you have any questions, you can ask me. How did you feel, and what do you think about everything? And then we'll do a small meditation also, and then end the session. Yes, any inputs from your side? Did you get something? Did you was something Mansali enadru? Some clarity? Did you get some clarity about the concept of God? May not be completely, but little bit. What did you feel? Anybody wants to talk? You can tell me. I'll unmute you and you can talk. And if you have to say anything, you can tell that in the chat box also. Yes. By the way, next weekend we have Reiki level 3 workshop. Reiki level 3, Reiki level 1 and 2, those who have learned from me, they can attend, and those who have learned from somewhere else Reiki and they want to pursue Reiki level 3, or they want to learn Reiki level 3. If you have learned Reiki level 1 and 2, not from me, somewhere else also, and if you want to learn level 3 from me, you can contact me. Next week we have that, and November end we'll have alchemy class. Again 3 days alchemy, we are going to repeat that, so you'll all get the message. You mean to say our minds create what we want to see? Yes, Maithili ji. Our mind, or the human mind, it is not, when I say our mind, it is not your mind or my mind, it is a universal mind which has created all these things. Because it is there in our genes, in our belief system, it is so embedded that the one who believes in Krishna as God, and this is what Krishna has been saying throughout the Bhagavad Gita and throughout the Mahabharata. I am Bhagwan, I am God, and the goal of every human life is to come to me and surrender me and get one with me. Now can you just imagine that Krishna, who is in a human form, can say all these things? It is just that energy, maybe, I don't know, but that can be the Krishna, the concept of Krishna, or the character of Krishna may also be the imagination of Vedavyasa. Maybe, I don't know. So yes, human mind can create so many things. Why do we create? It is for our safety. Because we have to, live on this planet Earth, one. And second is we have to lead our life happily, joyfully, without any burdens on our head. We create, and जैसे हम मतलब मैंने कहा ना कि हम खुट्टी बना के रखते हैं, hanger we have in the houses. As you come home, you remove your clothes and put it on the hangers. Like that, all our burdens we want to put on some hanger, and we create that hanger. We give the name and forms and all those things to that hanger. Wonderful explanation, sir. Feels this talk never ends. Thank you, Padmajaji. Thank you so much. Why human beings' opinion and mind keep on changing? Because change is the rule of nature, Swatiji. Change is a rule of nature. The seed cannot be always seed. It has to become plant, or it has to get decayed and get into the mother earth and all those things. Panchatatvadalli vilinaglebeku. Right? So change is a continuous process. Change keeps happening. And as change is happening in the nature, in the same way, change happens in the mind also. Change happens in the body also. And that is why I told you, We always crave for variety. Any one thing, monotonous thing, will make us very boring. And because we want changes, we keep trying different things, and that is why the opinions differs, the mind differs, and mind changes with time also, and all those things. Prabhakarji, very nice, sir. Regards, conscious and subconscious mind course. Yes, sir. Yes, Prabhakarji. We'll take this conscious and subconscious mind topic also one day. In fact, actually, mind power, I generally do a 1 day workshop, which we had divided into 3 days again, 6 to 7 hours class. So we'll do one mind power class also one day. We'll plan this mind power class. We'll talk in detail about the mind in that class. Wonderful explanation, sir. Feels this talk never ends. Thank you, Padmaja. Thank you so much. Okay, so you mean to say we must believe in ourselves? Maithili ji, yes, 100% we have to believe in ourselves. That's the first and basic need. You have to believe in yourself first. To believe in anything else also, the first thing is you have to believe in yourself. If you do not believe in yourself, nobody else can help you. So first thing you have to believe in yourself. Then only you can believe others. So खुद की मदद कर सकते हैं तो दूसरे भी आपकी मदद करेंगे. अगर आप खुद की मदद नहीं कर सकते हैं तो दूसरे आपकी मदद नहीं करेंगे. डूबते को तिनके का सहारा, लेकिन तिनके का सहारा लेके डूबते हुए को बाहर आना पड़ता है. तिनके को खींचेंगे तो आप अंदर डूब जाएंगे, लेकिन तिनके को पकड़ के आप अपनी हिम्मत से बाहर आने की कोशिश करेंगे तो आप बाहर आ जाएंगे. राइट? लाइक दैट God, you can create, you can believe, and in fact you should believe. I'm not saying that you should not believe in the idols, in Shiva, in whatever form. It is not the form. In the belief, in the surrender topic, actually we have spoken about this. It is not in whom you have the belief. It is your belief which works for you. So have the belief, strong belief, and that will work for you. That will create miracles for you. That will create miracles for you. Yes, sir. Wonderful. Doraswamiji is saying that wonderful, divine, enlightened Pravachanam. Guruji, Dhanyashmi, Subha Sanjay, energy in all forms. We feel like presence of God. Yes, sir. Yes, very good. I mean, our thoughts process. Yes, thank you, sir. Yes, thought process. Food also we call as Parabrahma. Yes, food also we call as Parabrahma. Annam Brahma Uchyate. Annam Brahma Uchyate. Yes. Everything is God. That's what again Annam Brahma Uchyate, it's a beautiful story in Taittiriya Upanishad. When we talk about Pancha Koshas, there is a wonderful story. Some other time I'll tell that. So food is also Parabrahma. It's in all forms and everywhere. Energy is omnipotent, omnipresent. Yes, sir. Omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, and everywhere. That is what is God. All right. So thank you so much. Let us do a small meditation now. Are you all ready? If you have any questions also you can ask me, because it was just that you are expressing your views. But if you have any questions, you can ask me questions now. If you don't have any questions, we'll do a small meditation. And in fact, actually, today I wanted to teach you a wonderful dynamic meditation. Unfortunately, online I cannot teach you that. The meditation, the name of the meditation is Romance with the Divine. Now you'll say, why sir is so romantic today? Romance with the Divine. It's a wonderful meditation technique, a dynamic meditation technique, which can take you to the the peak of experience. But online we cannot, because it needs it is as I told you, it's dynamic. It involves some activities, the physical activities, which I'll not be able to guide you online. So we'll do a general normal meditation. But I had that in my mind. I want to teach you that divine romance meditation. It's a wonderful, powerful meditation. Sometimes when we take offline class or some residential class, please remind me this. It's a wonderful, powerful meditation to experience the peak of our own reality. So I'll teach you that. Bhuneshwari Radhakrishna ji is saying that, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Oh, thank you, ma'am. For me, it was reiterating that we are a part of the supreme consciousness. Yes, Bhuneshwari ji, that's perfectly all right. That's what we are part of, that supreme consciousness, or you are that consciousness. Purnamidam Purnamadam Purnam Purnamudachyate. This full has come from that full. That full is also that full, and this full is also full. You know, once it is just that. How do we explain this? Okay, you can just imagine a soap bubble floating in the air. Now, say for example, soap bubble is here. Soap bubble is here, and it is traveling from here to here, point A to point B. The space outside of the bubble and space inside of the bubble. When bubble is here, the space inside, is it the same when the bubble comes here? Is the space also shifting from here to here, or it is only the external layer which is shifting here to here and space remains there, the same? Are you getting? The space remains same everywhere. Space do not travel from here to here, but still we can see the bubble. There is space inside the bubble, there is space outside the bubble, and when bubble is traveling, it has the complete all over covering. External thing cannot go inside, internal things cannot come outside, but still when the bubble travel from the point A to point B, the space inside it is one and the same. It doesn't change. We cannot say that space here is different, space here is different. Space is same. Space inside, outside, everything is same. And that is what, till it is a bubble, we see that bubble is a part of space. But bubble and space are one and the same. We have to reach that reality, and that is what we call enlightenment or moksha or whatever. When you realize that this bubble and the space outside, inside is one and the same. Till we do not understand this concept, we think that we are part of this. This space is part of this space. But this space and this space, there is nothing called part. Purnamidam Purnamadam Purnam Purnamadachyate. This is full, that is full, and this full has come from that full. Still that full is the full, this full is also full. That's what the Upanishad says. Yes, Prabhakarji, how can reach to God or Brahman? Just by regular practice. Somebody was commenting about Maharishi Ramana's teachings, somewhat similar. Yes, Maharishi Ramana's teaching was very simple. He was a man, you know, he did not speak much. He just gave one mantra, only one mantra. Just found out, who are you? Just ask yourself, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Continuously, when you ask yourself, who am I? One day will come when you realize that who are you? You will realize that this is not, you are not this body, you are not this mind, you are not this, you are not this, and finally you realize that everything is you, or you are everything. It is only by regular practice, by meditation, by self-inquiry, by improving the knowledge, reading books, meeting the masters, and all those things, when you do, you'll realize the Brahman.